sport. Welcome along to the EXFL Tier 2 Season 8 Italian Grand Prix. After a small delay, we're here for round 14 out of 22. It's currently 14 past 7. We all readied up, loaded in, and then there was an issue. So we've had to quickly restart. 17 drivers then. 2 have qualifying bans. Cadwell 10 heading out the pit lane now, and AFC Callum for Ferrari at the home Grand Prix. Right, I am F1 Union, your main commentator for tonight. As Cadwell pulls off, will park up, get disqualified. And AFC Callum, he said he might do his around near Ascari, whatever the case. Right then, yes, 17 drivers for the Italian Grand Prix. And we have our fingers crossed, hope and pray that turn 1 on the opening lap isn't a complete and utter mix of mayhem with all the cars. Don't know the weather yet. We loaded into the first session. The quali was dry, so we've put it dry again. As for the race, still dynamic or random, so we do not know yet. Something seems like Vortex is having issues joining. Yeah, he hasn't had the best connection. Anyway. Let me just check the standings. Right. So, championship leader, Logovic09 on 212 points. Exactly 69 points ahead of Callum H in the Haas, who is 17 points ahead of Morgan in the Alpine, who is level on points with Seb in the AlphaTauri. 18 points ahead of Josh Hewitt, who isn't racing today, probably for the first time all season, who's 12 points ahead of Eggy, who's just began his flying run, who was 12 points ahead of Roos, who has won the last 2 Grand Prix, but unfortunately she couldn't make Tier 1 times. She was too quick for Tier 2, so she has unfortunately had to leave the league. If she can make Tier 1 in the future, she's more than welcome to join back. And then 9 points further behind is Sin Icon, who's also not racing. 6 points ahead of last week's pole sitter, Frosty Life, who I know enjoys Monza too, so let's see what he can do, getting pole number 11. Only 4 off the record of Taze Frozen, the championship winner last time out in Season 7. And then to round out the top 10 is Cal, who returned after a 1-week break, who did a really good qualifying and a really solid weekend all round for the McLaren, getting some good points on the board for the British team, looking for their 3rd Constructors' Trophy, fighting AlphaTauri. And it seems like with Hewitt's title hopes disappearing, so is his motivation. Seb is still here though to pick up the points, as Eggy then sets the benchmark, but then Tom in his 3rd race, I believe he's finished 10th and 10th. He has indeed. So points in both its races. So he currently is the fastest of the 2. Warren is back, promoted to the Williams. He asked me before today, is there any chance I can get points? You basically just have to avoid 3-second penalties, hope for maybe a safety car at the end, stay out of trouble, have some decent pace. And you never know, especially at turn 1. Vortex, he's out on track then. Looks like his connections issues are solved, so we're all good. AFC Callum still in the pit lane, still yet to serve his quali ban. Don't know how long that's going to take. Luigi then, as Cal, by half a second, is the first one into the 19s. Very solid banker for the McLaren driver, as we see Luigi rounding the final corner on a 1 minute 40 lap time. What about Cargo's Blong? He's on the mediums as he's going to cross the line in due moments time. It's a 20.1 to go P2. That's a really solid medium run for the Alfa Romeo driver, who's been besting his teammate recently. Eggy, who at one point led the World Championship after a few races this season, has unfortunately dropped back, scoring points in every race but 1 or 2. I think he DNF'd in 1, finished 11th in the other. Hasn't gone great the last 7 or so races for him, but he's showing signs here and there. Frosty on out lap. Morgan, 26.4. Ridian returned last week, reserved for the Ferrari team, got a podium on return then, and now he's been fully promoted to the Scuderia, and what better time in the season to race the Scuderia Ferrari than at their home Grand Prix in front of the Tifosi. Ridian then in that scarlet red car heading into Ascari. It's going to be a 53.3 for his first banker middle sector through Ascari then. And now he's just got Parabolica to go. 15 points on the board then for him, and to help Ferrari, who are plumb last in the standings at the moment. And let's see in the final 9 races how far they can climb up the order with Ridian. As Morgan just under a 10th behind Cow. Ridian then to cross the line. It's a 19.7 he has to beat. It's going to be a 19.8 to put himself between Morgan and Cow. Look at that, the top 3 covered by just under a 10th. Vortex, what about him as he rounds the final corner? He's had some decent pace over a few laps across this season. He's crossing the line. It's a 19.8 as well, just over a 10th now. Covers the top 4, and both Alpines separated by 8 thousandths of a second. What about Callum then? Runner-up in the World Championship at the moment. 69 points behind Logan. If he needs the charge, it has to start today. He was with the McLaren fighting Roos for the win. Not exactly the greatest Ascari entry for the American team car. But yeah, he was running 3rd right behind Logan before he disconnected last week, which dropped him down to 9th, ultimately losing him about 13 points through no fault of his own. Otherwise, the gap could have been 56 instead of 69, but he crosses the line in a few seconds' time. He's been great in qualifying this season. He crosses the line. It's a 19.783. Look how close this top 5 is. And qualifying in the recent, pretty much all season really, but mainly the recent 6 or 7 races has been so close. And this race that we have in store is going to be no different. And do not discount this man then, Frosty Life, who delivered in what was a wet-infested qualifying in Zandvoort last week. The lap that came out of nowhere, he was never near the top throughout the whole 18 minutes, and then right at the end, he just put it top of the timesheets, and Frosty got his first pole in over a year. Last pole, Tier 2 Season 6, Baku. But now in Tier 2 Season 8, Zandvoort, at his home Grand Prix, he got his second pole, I remember, what was it, 2.5 years ago, in Tier 2 Season 3, he got the pole in Zandvoort. I lined up alongside him. That was great to see him repeat that. Drifting then. And that was by close margins too. Drifting crosses the line. 19.9. Look how close the top 6 is. It's great to see Bluey Doggo. If he can get anywhere near that top 6, that's the lap of the season for the Mercedes. But if he can at least get into the top maybe 11 or 12, that would be a solid result as he crosses the line. It's 11th at the moment, but it's within 2 seconds of the pack. Luigi, he's sprung a few good one-lap wonders in his Tier 2 career so far. Let's see where he can... Oh. Yeah, let's see where he can put his Red Bull. Seb on an out lap. Logan just exiting Lesmo 2. Luigi then, 1 corner to go. 19.7 on the board is still the fastest time. It's by Cal, who has delivered some solid bankers when it comes to qualifying. And then improving on that, it's really up to him. But Luigi then, a 19.7 is the time to beat. He crosses the line. It's a 19.686 by 6 hundredths. And the top 7, ever as close as it is. It's the fastest track on the calendar in terms of average speed. And at the moment, Luigi has got the fastest speed of the 12 who have set a lap time. Frosty Life then, 26.4 is the solid first for the Aston Martin. Heading through Lesmo 1 and 2. We've got a Ferrari in front of him. But they should get him out, should get out the way for him. As the DRS will flick. Little bit of a slide on the exit of Lesmo 2 then. I think that is AFC Callum who's going to pull off and do his qualifying ban. Hopefully he gets out the way of Frosty. He goes straight on. Frosty carries on in Ascari 53.3 as Callum will serve his qualifying ban. There we go, pulls off. Right then, Frosty, 1 more corner to go then for the Aston Martin. Seen him earlier today practicing quite a bit for this Grand Prix. Let's see if it has paid off for the first banker of this 18-minute qualifying session. He crosses the line. 19.6 is the time to beat. He comes across the line. It's a 20.0 to be P8. Just about ahead of, as Eggy goes 10th, ahead of the 2 Alfa Romeos, but just a bit off the top 7. As AFC Cal, serves his qualifying ban. He will start 16th with Cadwell in 17th, and Logan and Seb. What can they both do then? Logan 52.8, he's flying, is the championship leader. And can he beat Luigi to provisional pole? It's a 19.6 he has to beat. He's going to cross the line now. It's going to be a 19.2, 4 tenths ahead of Luigi. Lugovic 09 on provisional pole then. What about Seb? What can he challenge? About half a second off in the middle sector. On the final corner, the only AlphaTauri on today's grid. It'll be a 19.7 to go. P5, 100th behind Callum, who starts his second run then. Really good banker for Logan. Yep, Seb will embark back into the pits. What about Callum? He's just finishing his first sector. Seb in front of him. We'll hopefully get out the way. Has Callum found any more time? He has found just over a tenth with just under 7 minutes remaining. Riding on board with the Haas driver into Lesmo 1 then. Taking it very nicely indeed. No sudden snaps or mistakes. So close to the grass it can send you so far wide and ruin your whole lap. DRS open then as he ends the middle sector. Seb's still in front of him. It's going to cause a little bit of bother through Ascari, as he's nearly 3 tenths up his Callum. Not taking as much curb as others usually do. That's going to lose him a bit of time. Now through the penultimate straight, Seb moves to the right. Callum trying to get a little bit of a slip. Moves back to the left as Cargo's Blonde goes up to 4th. Callum, who's up by nearly 3 tenths. This should surely be the front row. But is it good enough to challenge Logan? How far is he off? Runner up in the drivers. Fighting first in the drivers. Callum then, it's going to be a 19.3 to go. P2. Only a tenth and a bit off Logan. But that is on his second run, the top 2 in the World Championship, lining up 1 and 2 at the moment. Yeah, good lap from Cargos Blanc. It's very close from 10th all the way to 3rd. And yeah, Warren exactly a second off, Tom just over that, and Bluey 2.4 off on an outlap. Right, 5.5 minutes remain then. Drifting has just started a lap, running on board then with the Williams. Red Bull coming out of pit lane there. So, heaviest braking of any part of the track heading down into turn 1. It's so hard to go deep or turn in too early, but he's taken the first chicane pretty nicely. A little bit of a wiggle as he exits, heading on to turn 3 and 4. And now just foot flat to the floor, reaching 8th gear before another heavy braking zone into the second chicane. First sector, he's down by a little bit. Is the Williams driver. That curb can absolutely launch you if it wants to. So far, so good for the Williams driver. Into Lesmo 1 then. This is where the downforce, if you even have any, is going to help. Driver's not exactly using as much curb, especially at Ascari. Let's see how much drifting does take as he ends the middle sector. Has he found any more time as he was fractionally down? He's still fractionally down. He needs to attack the final curb, but not as much as that, where he invalidates as he goes over the curb, not the final curb, but Ascari curb, and he's attacked it too much to invalidate, but he was down anyway. What about Bluey then? He's invalid too. Vortex has left. Getting back in. Hope everyone's who's enjoying the stream, watching the streams, having a good day. Hope you're enjoying quali so far, and hope you're going to enjoy the race. We've got 4 minutes left of qualifying for the Italian Grand Prix, round 14 out of 22. And at the moment, Logan, by nearly a tenth and a half, is ahead of Callum, who's a couple tenths ahead of Luigi, who's just began what might be his final flying lap. The Red Bull then, heading down into turn 1, clocking just over 200 miles an hour, and you brake at around 60. Exiting the first chicane then, right near the white line, keeping it tight and making sure not to lose any fractional thousandths. And he's following that line continuously, not going wide like we saw, I think, Callum do. Into the first sector, he's found nearly 2 tenths as the Red Bull. Over the second chicane, taking it very nicely indeed, not kicking up any gravel whatsoever. Vortex can join off me if it's fine. Through Lesmo 1, taking it very nice and simple. No loss to the rear, no snaps. Through Lesmo 2, so close to the grass that can send you straight on. Now DRS open for the Red Bull. Has he found any more time? Pretty much kicking up some grass. He turns in so early. Flying past our screen now under the bridge as we enter Ascari. He's 2 and a bit tenths up through Ascari now, taking the curb. Somehow doesn't invalidate. Kept it within track limits. And now it's been a brilliant lap so far for the Red Bull. He's just got to keep it together at the make or break corner of Parabolica. High gears of 8, shifting down into 6 or maybe even 5th for better rotation. Getting the power on as early as you can. Rotating around, shortest route to the line for the Red Bull. He's currently 3rd, he crosses the line. It's P2 for Luigi, it's a front row, but it's not quite enough to beat Logan. 58 thousandths off the McLaren driver. But yeah, a great lap and a great effort nonetheless from Luigi. What about Cal then? His teammate up in first. He's currently half a second off on his outlap. What about Warren then? Seems like he's on a lap. Heading through the middle part of the track. And yeah, Frosty, last week's race winner, currently in 11th. They're all heading out to do their final run. Just 2 minutes left of this qualifying session. Warren has backed off. He's invalidated somewhere. Must have been exit of Degner 2. And that might be it for qualifying for the Williams then. The one remaining Ferrari, Ridian, he's been a bit under the shadows recently. I didn't even see him go 7th, but he will begin his final flying lap. The only Ferrari left in the qualifying session for the Tifosi to cheer on, as AFC Callum will start this race from 17th, but he's a brilliant starter, is Callum, and I'm sure he'll make his way up. His main flaw is getting 3-second time penalties that do affect his result after he did really well last season. But again, penalties put him further down then. Ridian to cross the line then will begin his final lap with 1 minute 20 seconds. You have to cross the line now, otherwise you are not making it round. Ridian then into turn 1. He's currently nearly 6/10 off provisional pole. Brakes neat and tidy, exits the chicane very well. And now we'll see in about 10 seconds time how much time, or if he's found any, in the first sector. As all the others are beginning their final run, we carry on with the Ferrari. He's up by 1/10 and a bit. And with it being so close from 4th all the way down to 11th, maybe even 12th, maybe even down to 14th. Any 10th could gain you quite a few positions then. Into into Lesmo 1, and now into Lesmo 2. Comes the Scarlet Red Ferrari DRS Open then, as he'll fly past under the bridge and heading up into Ascari. How much curb is he daring to take? As he's 1/10 and a half up, he takes enough curb and takes it very nicely indeed through Ascari then. 1 corner to go. As Hughes Morgan goes P4 then. Wait, no, that was a glitch. As Tom goes up to P6. What a lap from Tom to put it Red Bull 2nd and 6th. But what about the challengers then? Ridian, 1/10 and a half up. This could potentially get him as high as 6th, as Morgan did go 5th. Callum went 4th. Ridian goes 6th, but there's quite a gap. So yeah, Hughes, Morgan and Cal closed the gap, but it wasn't enough. What about Callum then? He's found a bit of time in the first sector. Logan's also found a bit of time in the first sector. Luigi's found a fractional 2/1000th in his final run. He managed to get one in. Drifting goes 6th for another P6 ahead of Ridian. Tom still on 8th at the moment. And rounding the final corner comes Luigi. Can he find any more time? No, he's coming in the pits. It's 2nd at best then. What about Seb down in P10? He's up by a few tenths. Could this be a top 5 start for the AlphaTauri? It's the 3rd place for Seb. A 100th off Luigi. What about Logan then as he rounds the final corner? He's found another couple tenths. Could he get it into the 18s? This is your pole sitter, Logan, a 19.097. It's pole by a couple tenths. Now we see the challenge of his closest rival in the World Drivers' Championship. Callum H or Logan across the line. Callum takes it right to the end. Callum H is on pole position. He's beaten Logan right at the end, and Callum H is on pole for the Italian Grand Prix. Callum through Ascari will be 5th, Morgan 6th, and I think that might be it. That is it. Callum H right at the end stole it ahead of Logan, who dominated qualifying, and Callum saved his best until last. Luigi 3rd, Seb 4th, Cal 5th, Morgan 6th, Drifting a brilliant 7th, Cargo's Long 8th, Ridian down in 9th, Tom 619 will have a top 10 start, Vortex 11th, Eggy 12th, last week's pole sitter down in 13th. That is how quickly things can change in EXFL Tier 2. Warren 14th, Bluey 15th, Cadwell 16th, and Callum 17th. But Callum, a star of qualifying, and he has just put his Haas on pole position. Who are we waiting on? We're waiting for Callum. There we go. Tom saying he ran out of fuel on the last lap or something. Wow, I didn't honestly expect that. And it's not even... It's close, but it's not that close. 71 thousandths. I thought it was going to be much closer than that if Callum was to just somehow get pole. But yeah, so close into the 18s. The top two in a league of their own, really. And that's why they are first and second in the championship. Morgan down in 6th. He's level on points with Seb in 4th. And yeah, we got a real race on our hands. But first things first, we got to hope and pray that they all make it into turn 1. Tier 2 on the opening lap have actually been brilliant this season for not having that many first lap collisions. But Italy, could be the highest form of racing, and it can sometimes still go bad. Still don't know what the weather is. It's clear. Right, Callum, the pole sitter, is just going to send me the weather now. It should be dry unless... Yep, fully dry. Dry throughout the whole race. 27 laps ahead of us then. And we also have our fingers crossed we don't have to restart. Ah, Luigi has left. So that's going to drop him down the order. And if we do have to restart, he's one lucky bugger. But for now, they'll be making setup tweaks, changing their setup and their fuel load. But here we go then, the 5 lights come on for hopefully the start of the Italian Grand Prix as the revs rise. And it's lights out and away we go with Callum versus Logan off the line. And can they all make it down into turn 1? Morgan's had a brilliant start as he's wheel to wheel with Seb. Down into turn 1 then. Callum followed by the 2 McLarens. Logan sends on Callum as they head into the first chicane. Callum just holds Logan off. They both go into the gravel as Cal takes the lead ahead of Seb. Morgan, the top 2 in the World Championship, have come together. Logan loses the rear even more. There is more carnage at the back, but they've all managed to make it through into the first sector then. Huge Morgan versus Seb. He's up in a second. Cal leads the Grand Prix of Italy as we exit the second chicane. Cadwell from 16th is up to 5th as he's battling Ridian. Heading into Lesbo 1. Slight contact. Cadwell doesn't give Ridian much space. They've caused a chain and a pile-up as Tom's now up in a 5th. Cadwell, who never checks his mirrors, hasn't checked it again, and he's caused Ridian and everyone else behind to form into a bit of a train. VSC has come out, and can you believe it? Logan, not for the first time this season, absolutely sending it into turn 1 on a car ahead like he did in Belgium. But this time round, it's paid dividend. And he's struggling with Eggy and Frosty at the back. Seems like some illegal overtakes are happening. But yeah, Logan sent it on Callum. Callum tried to hang it around. They must have connected. They both went into the gravel at the exit of turn 2. And that's dropped them from 1st and 2nd down to 6th and 15th. VSC, who takes this moment to maximise? No one, because it is over. We begin lap 2 then. Biggest gainer. It is Cadwell still. And yeah. Cal then leads ahead of Morgan, ahead of Seb. Cargo's Blong up to 4th. Tom is in 5th. But Callum will be sure to come back through the field. Let's have a look at tyres. Hard compound tyres. As drifting. Fights away with Bluey. Hards for Cargo's Blong. Softs for a few others. Mediums for most. As yeah, Vortex still struggling to join back. Logan then up in a 13th, a long way back, 12 seconds off the next car. He's going to have to hope for a safety car. As yeah, Hughes, Morgan and Cal making their way up on the softs. Oh, great. Luigi and Vortex. Give me a sec. Right then. Top 4 then. Cargo's Blong just hanging on, but on the hards he's going to drop off. Tom then up in P5. He must be loving it. Tom and Cal probably in a party. Mates, of course. Callum will be on him soon, using his battery. Ridian ahead of Cadwell, who's in a bit of no man's land. Luigi probably going to be overtaken by Drifting, who's just joined back now. That's good to see. Bluey on the verge of points. As yeah, Vortex is another person who Logan is going to catch soon. As yeah, drifting is ahead of him. Eggy down in 14th, as Logan is going to have to drag him with him. AFC Callum, unfortunate opening start for him after his qualifying ban. Frosty is pitted, I think. Same with Owen. Oh, and Callum. Okay, that's fine then. We begin lap 3 then. They've exited turn 1 as Luigi is coming back at drifting. Down into turn 1. The Red Bull versus the Williams. They leave each other space. Drifting backs off. Bluey round the outside. Goes a bit deep, as they were. What about ERS then? 50, 73, 87. Seb learning. That was a big weakness of his last season. Not to burn the battery. At the moment he has the most of the top 3. Top 4 even. Ridian on 82. What about Logan? Is he blasting? No, he's still on 3/4 as he's towing Eggy along to put him under pressure. Cal's nearly a second ahead of Morgan already. As yeah, he's under pressure from Seb. Those softs, how well are they treating the Alpine driver? So yeah, the top 2 gained 4 places. Same with Cargo's Long, same with Tom, and Seb only gained 1 throughout it all. As Seb is already pulling out. Does Morgan let him go? No, Seb's better, has a better chance of fighting Cal. He does. But unfortunately, Seb is outside of the 1 second, as Morgan done that tactically to get back ahead of the AlphaTauri. DRS for him. DRS not activated for the AlphaTauri then. What a chaotic start. As yeah, Morgan down into turn 1. Does he back off? Yes. He wants to work together with Seb to close in on Cal to make sure he doesn't pull away. Not the greatest exit, as Luigi is getting ahead of Cadwell now. Cadwell back down the inside, making Luigi have to brake there. Cadwell going defensive, and this is, you hold your breath really, as Drifting's trying to maximise. Gets ahead of Luigi. Luigi still on the outside, blasting his battery, as Tom is ahead of Cargo's Blong, using his mediums to good effect then. And then heading down, Ridian, followed by Drifting, followed by Cadwell, followed by Luigi onto the grass there. Cadwell down the inside, stays behind, but Drifting is ahead, up in at 8th now. And Cadwell is now going to hold up Luigi unless he gets down the inside. But Cadwell, we know how this ended last time, and we know how it's going to end again. As Bluey is up into the points, Cadwell needs to check his inside mirror at Lesmo 1, because that's twice now he's turned in on Ridian, and now he's turned in on Luigi. Don't know how he managed to gain 12 places in 1 sector, but anyone who comes across him is just going to have to hold their breath, and so unfortunate for Luigi, as Logan's nearing the back of him now. Yeah, Bluey Doggo then. Oh, as Cadwell goes off there. Now up into 9th. Don't know what's happening with the Aston. But yeah, I think for the first time this season, Bluey Doggo is up into the points. He apparently he just woke up just before the race. So this is fully woken him up. As yeah, he's going to get on with it. And hopefully, obviously there are quicker drivers behind who are trying to get past. But speaking of which, quicker drivers, Callum trying to get past Cargo's Blong and Tom. I'm sure he's going to do his best to hold position. But yeah, Bluey, at the moment in 9th. I'm sure he will be loving every lap that comes by in this position. Logan, still just ahead of Eggy. These two, of course, were the leaders of the standings at the start. Before it became Logan and Josh, then Logan and... it's down the inside. Callum with Cargo's Blong. And then Logan and Callum, exactly. I don't know what it is about Lesmo 1. But yeah, Callum was on the inside of Cargo's Blong. And Cargo's Blong, don't know if Callum was too late on the inside or Cargo's Blong. We know how defensive and aggressive he can be sometimes, and turned in. Oh, it's close for the lead. Seb has caught up to Callum. He goes to the inside, backs off. He knows he'll get the DRS on Cal. Nearly runs into the back of the McLaren. And as they start lap 6, we could be seeing a change of leadership then. How long are those softs going to endure? Seb pulls out to the left. And we're seeing this overhead shot. Seb is going to take the lead of the Italian Grand Prix for AlphaTauri, ahead of Cal, ahead of Morgan. And then Cargo's Blong is now ahead of Tom into 4th. Callum just staying behind a bit for now. Ridian in no man's land, drifting in no man's land. Bluey just loving life in no man's land. Cadwell, 2 seconds. They're all a bit spread out here as Logan is getting ahead of the ghosted car Vortex. And Eggy should do the same. Yeah, so unfortunate for Scott as Cal and Seb are fighting for the lead. Once again, there's been contact, or someone's gone off. And yeah, Seb maintains the lead for now. Something happened there. Cal struggling. That's brought Morgan back up to the back of them. Yep, so into the second chicane. it seems like Seb went off and Cal carried on. Whatever the case, they resume. Seb, who has won a race this season. Cal, who has won a race this season. Morgan, who's won 2 races this season, who's now trying to get ahead of Cal, who has not the greatest of exits of Ascari. They're wheel to wheel as Seb is more than a second behind. Who's going to want the DRS? It's Morgan who's playing the DRS chicken game, and now he's going to get the DRS on Cal as Seb is now flying away. The one AlphaTauri remaining as Cadwell gets the first penalty. Fighting McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. He's doing everything he can. He's carrying the team at the moment. And now Cal under pressure from Morgan, who's going to go to the inside with the DRS. Look at the 3 behind. They've caught them down into turn 1. Morgan versus Cal. Wheel to wheel, the 2 soft runners. Morgan leaves the space. Cal just about enough. But Morgan onto the grass makes Cal hold the position. And now James is looking all over the back of the Alpine. But Luigi with the slip of the Alpine goes to the inside of Carlos Bong, and now to the outside of Hughes Morgan, who's maybe going to go later on the brakes, down into turn 4. They're wheel to wheel through the chicane. Unbelievable, they're still wheel to wheel through the chicane, and that means Morgan's dropped down to 5th, Carlos Bong to 4th, and Tom is now up to 3rd. Morgan now drops down to 6th. Morgan got absolutely collected there, but he fought fair, and nothing wrong doing. Cal left minimal space on the exit of the first chicane, but yeah, Morgan has been caught by Tom, who's up into the podium under pressure from Carlos Bong, who's now onto the podium. Tom back round the outside, no way through Ascari. They've made contact and Tom spins round as he connected with Carlos Bong. Callum now trying to make his way through as he's now fighting with the Alfa Romeo. Morgan watching this unfold. Cal 1.8 behind Seb, 3 wide as they head into the final corner. What's going to happen? Slight contact between the AlphaTauri and Haas, but somehow they made it through. Morgan's made a double overtake, but now he's going to get into the pit lane so he doesn't get absolutely swamped by the 2 we are looking at now. Callum, no battery. James, no battery either, but DRS to come back at him into P3. Moves over a little bit and gets into the podium positions. Look how much time they've lost to the top 2. Ridian up to 5th, then drifting 6th. Tom with that spin in 7th. Bluey now up to 8th as he's under pressure from Luigi. Logan into the points then as he's ahead of Cadwell. That went well. Eggy, he's lost a bit of time to the McLaren driver. Morgan exits the pits. There's his teammate, Vortex, who still hasn't joined. Morgan into turn 1 on the medium compound tyres. He started on the softs. Can he really go 20 laps on mediums? We will wait and see, unless this is a 2-stop race. So yeah, calm at the front for the top 2. A bit of a fight going on for P3 and 4. A lot of people under investigation still. And yeah, Callum, if he really wants to gain as much as he can on Logan, maximise the opportunity, he's got to get past James, or at least work with him, to catch on the top 2. Cadwell and Cal, the only soft runners from the start of the race. Warren, who pitted after lap 1. Luigi gets ahead of Bluey, who's gone deep at Ascari. Rejoins, and Logan gets ahead. Bluey, good on him for not rejoining right into the McLaren, but he's lost 2 positions, and now he's on the scourges of the points. And yeah, we got Cadwell holding up Eggy, using all his battery against Eggy, who's, if you add them up, they're 100%, as Callum has got ahead of Carlos Blanc into turn 1. So he's back up into the podium positions. Cadwell 5 seconds for speeding as he pits. Doesn't know how to take the pit entry. I swear he's sped in every single Grand Prix he's done. Carlos Blanc 19%. Callum just 10% less than that. 35. Still 97% for Seb. He's controlling the race at the moment. His qualifying is decent, but his race pace, don't ever discount X3 VDV1. For at the moment, like a lot of times this season, in the first half of the race, it's going pretty well for AlphaTauri. It's the second half, hopefully not jinxing it, the trouble start to happen. So for now, he's controlling the race. And Cal, I'm sure he's still enjoying the race. He's closing in on Seb, using what's left of those softs, using the battery as Tom fighting drifting into Ascari. Tom ahead of the Williams now, up in a 6th as he's fighting back to gain on Ridian, who's taken a couple tenths out of the 2 in front. But the DRS is very powerful, allowing them to stay ahead. Callum is back within a second now of the AlphaTauri. It's McLaren versus AlphaTauri in the Constructors, and it is for the Italian Grand Prix at the moment, as we're going to see Carlos Blanc probably surprise and attack on the Haas then into turn 1. Where's he go? Left or right? He goes right for the Alfa Romeo. And then heavy braking, like we saw the other lap, as drifting comes back at Tom. And simple DRS moves. Nothing to worry about, no contact. Ridian's just in no man's land at the moment, but drifting and Tom are gaining as Logan is now down the inside of Luigi. Remember, they started second and third, or second and fourth, and they're still fighting one another after Luigi has been spun, I think. But yeah, they're in 8th and 9th at the moment. Logan, another comeback drive then. He's had 3 or so, maybe even 4 this season. So Cadwell pits. Yeah, if we have a look at stops. Morgan is the first runner, who is 25 seconds off the lead. He's gaining on Eggy and Bluey. And yeah, the only soft runner of the top people is Callum, as wheel to wheel, the Red Bull versus the Williams. Not a place you really see overtakes happening, but Tom versus Drifting. Drifting, who had a pretty neat little battle with Small Nick last week in Netherlands. Having another battle with Tom now for P6. Cal, who's still staying out, who's still sticking with Seb, closing the gap. He's allowing Seb to catch him with, as Callum will probably pit for the hards now. 11 laps done on those mediums. He's triggering the undercut. He's got to. There are the hard compound tyres then. There's Logan passing his championship rival with Luigi following him through. Callum exits the pits. It's quite a long pit lane, to be honest, as he's going to be in free air. But Morgan is ahead of Callum. That's how much Morgan's gained. But he pitted very early, so he may have to pit again. He's stuck behind Bluey, as Eggy is ahead of the Mercedes. Seb has been overtaken by Cal. A swap up the lead has happened. And for now, Cal will hold it, but Seb may be coming back at him with a bunch more battery. Pulls to the right, uses a bit of battery to make sure they're not wheel to wheel, heading through Ascari, and retakes the lead effortlessly, as he's got about 3 times more than the McLaren. Cargo's long on the hard compound tyres, will be on the quicker tyres towards the end. Morgan is ahead of Bluey then. And Callum still got quite a few seconds to gain, so he's still in free air, and he needs to push. He'll surely undercut Cargo's bomb, but can he really gain on the top 2? Are any of them going to pit? If any of them were to, it's probably going to be Callum. As he does, he triggers the undercut on Seb, making sure not to speed. Oh no, Logan's left. First connection issues for the championship lead, and the first time in a while. Tom's in, Callum in. He goes from softs to mediums. Very interesting. Well, he made softs last 12 laps or so he can make mediums last 15, as Logan, the ghost, the AI of him anyway, goes ahead. There's Morgan, there's Eggy, there's Cal. So Morgan, after pitting very early, has undercut both drivers. There's Callum, who's not too far behind the other Callum. Only a couple seconds, but he's closed the gap on the hard compound tyres. Vortex, as there's Luigi sliding out of the pit lane. Behind him is Cadwell. Logan back in. And Seb, what will he do? As we know, Morgan at the moment is the effective race leader. Warren now gets a 3-second time penalty, as I believe he's going to be lapped soon. Yeah, there's the leader. You can see him in his sight, so Warren's going to be hoping Seb pits soon, which he will. Gap to Morgan is 22.2. The last time we checked was 25, so Morgan gaining a few seconds. He's in the slip of Logan, who's back in his car, as Cal gets ahead of Eggy. And we wonder when's Logan going to pit, as he already pulls out to the left. Seems like Logan's stream has also been cut off, so unfortunate for the championship leader with his connection issues. He's got his teammate behind him now, who's already pitted. Logan still needs to pit. Ridian and drifting in then. What does Logan do? He stays out for now. And Seb does too. So is Seb trying a medium soft? As exiting the pit, Ridian and Drifting, not too far away from one another actually. Drifting's done a really good job to gain on the Ferrari, both on the hards. As there comes Tom, ahead of both of them still. So Tom running a really good race at the moment. Only 1 lap older. Hard compound tyres. There's the swap for the McLaren drivers, and it's Logan giving way to Cal, as he's sticking with Morgan, who's on 4 lap older mediums. Cadwell gets ahead of the ghost of Vortex. Bluey unfortunately down in 14th at the moment, and Callum now gets ahead of Eggy. There's been a collision, has there? Or has Eggy made a mistake? Something between maybe Callum and Eggy, but definitely Eggy, who went off there, lost a lot of time. Whatever the case, Callum is now ahead of the Alfa Romeo, and now, for the first time since turn 1 on the opening lap, we can see the top 2 in the World Championship. Callum versus Logan in the same frame, 1 and 2. And if Logan pits now, I'm sure Callum wouldn't mind that at all. But speaking of pits, Seb is in. And if it is the hards, which it is, he may have lost some time. He may come out as far as behind Eggy, but he's going to be very quick on those, as Morgan, under pressure from Cal, who's looking to take the lead. He has the ERS and he's using it to hold on to it. There's Seb, there's Callum, and Logan's in. So we don't see Callum versus Seb. Seb is behind Callum, who's up and undercut the AlphaTauri, so he's back within the fight, and so is Morgan. Remember, he's on 6 lap-old mediums, as here comes Cal around the outside to try and challenge for the lead of the Grand Prix, using his battery. They're both using battery. They both want to hold on to this net Grand Prix lead. Wheel to wheel into the second chicane. Morgan has to back out. Cal takes hold of the lead, but now Morgan might try to switch back. Callum plants his car right where he needs to, and at the moment the 4-car battle gets closer and closer as Cal now takes the net lead. But Carlos Blanc still, like he has done a few times this season, started on the hards and going long into the race. So he will be potentially on the mediums, maybe even the softs, and will come out probably still in 5th. So he will be gaining on these lot. And if he pits now, that might be actually worked out really well. But Morgan, I do not see those mediums lasting. And if they do, they're going to be in awful shape. Callum then is back with the top guys, but using all his battery against Seb, who has virtually nothing, as Carlos Blanc unfortunately speeds. And we're seeing a 4-car fight for what's soon to be the lead then. Yeah, he is going to pit for mediums. He's going to come out probably in free air in 5th. Here we go then. McLaren versus Alpine versus Haas versus AlphaTauri. There goes Callum to fight Morgan for P2, flashing his battery. Seb behind. Does he dare go for the double overtake? Morgan down the inside, making sure not to hit Callum. And down the inside, Seb versus Callum. So close to contact, but for now, they keep it clean. And no contact between the two. Yeah, Carlos Blanc emerges in P5 ahead of Tom, who's holding on to 6th, Ridian 7th, drifting 8th, Luigi 9th, Cadwell back into the points as Logan is trying to steal that point back. He's got a lot to gain. He's 24 seconds off the lead. No safety car yet in the Grand Prix. We've only had a VSC on the opening lap. Ooh, right. 13 to go then. It is Cal, a race winner this season. Morgan, a double race winner this season. Callum, a double race winner this season versus Seb, a race winner this season. To 2 1-times and 2 2-times. Seb versus Callum, wheel to wheel, heading into Ascari. Just enough space left, but there's a bit of contact, and Seb nearly spins round. Callum left just enough space, or was it too little? Callum, who does not want to give up any position whatsoever, he needs the win. But that's come at the expense of Seb going off a little bit there, and whatever little mishaps happen between the top 4, it's allowing Carlos Blanc to gain, as Logan is ahead of Cadwell. First in the World Championship, gets ahead of 20th in the World Championship. Eggy ahead of Bluey. Still got all 17 in the race until Cadwell crashes at Ascari, and yep, somehow that's not a safety car, as Frosty will pass his teammate. Cadwell's binned it off then, and yeah, no safety car. Weird. For now they are as they were. Seb has the battery to close back into the top 3. Morgan's got quite a good lot of battery too. Hope everyone who's watching is having a good evening. Enjoying the race so far. We've just passed half race distance. So the rundown, Cal, who took the lead on the opening lap. Morgan, who dropped down a bit, but after an early pit stop, is back within the running. Callum, who had contact with his championship rival, with Logan sending on him at turn 1, and then they're both connecting into the gravel at turn 2, is up in the 3rd. Seb, who led for most of this Grand Prix, is down in 4th after staying out longer. Carlos Blanc, going the opposite, hard to medium, is going to gain on these lot, who are already battling 3 wide into the final corner. It's allowing Cal to absolutely soar ahead into the final corner. Again, somehow they've all managed to make it through, as it's Morgan now down to 4th, Callum up to 2nd, but with no DRS, Seb will come back and so will Morgan. They'll fly past the Haas driver, and another double overtake for the Alpine driver heading into turn 1. Callum can't do a thing to defend, and Morgan and Seb will now battle into turn 1. Seb round the outside, gets up in a second. He's later on the brakes, he's more confident on the brakes, and he's up in a P2 as Cargos Blanc is just under 4 seconds now behind them, but they are outside of a second now as Cal is going to be pushing to make sure that carries on. Some great battling so far in Tier 2 as they head through the second chicane now. So yeah, that's your top 4 rundown in a nutshell. Cargos Blanc 5th. Tom running a brilliant race in P6. His 3rd race in EXFL Tier 2. 10th, currently in 6th. Ridian, P7 after being P3, fighting around that 3rd, 4th, 5th area last week. Currently in 7th, still getting the points. Drifting, solid race so far for him in 8th as AFC Callum speeds into the pit lane. Luigi, 2 points for him. It's unfortunate, and especially for Logan, the championship leader, down in 10th at the moment. And Callum needs to pit again, 15 laps on those mediums. So the oldest tyres are now Morgan on 9. So his mediums are going to drop off soon. And Cargos Blanc, we said it's under 4. It's nearly under 3 now. Do not discount him. And unfortunately, he does have a 5 set for speeding in the pit lane. But still don't discount him. Seb has caught back within a second of Cal to get the DRS. Morgan under pressure from Callum. Morgan does not have the DRS. Callum will switch to the inside. Seems like a fairly nice move from the Haas drive. Morgan sits behind for now, letting Callum know he's there. And the top 4 have separated a bit now. We've got, what is it, 8 different constructors in the top 8. McLaren, AlphaTauri, Haas, Alpine, Alfa Romeo, Red Bull, Ferrari and Williams. So it's great to see the 3 teams not getting any points at the moment. Mercedes, Aston, and something else. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Alpine, McLaren, Aston, Alfa, Haas, Williams. Yeah. I don't know, I can't think of the last team for some reason. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Right, fight for the lead then. Cal versus Seb, who's caught right up. He's right behind him and going to get the DRS. Nearly running into the back of the McLaren driver, but yeah. With 10 laps remaining, we're about to see a swap of the lead, potentially. Callum using a bit of his battery. They're pretty level. As Morgan's in again, it is a 2-stop for the Alpine driver. As here we go then. Seb to the inside of Cal. Cal doesn't put up a fight. Seb to the inside, takes the lead. But Cal's going to keep it around the outside. They're going to keep just enough of space, a little bit of contact. But Seb, once again around the outside, has the momentum to take the lead. And Cal, the message is unclear with him. Does he want to fight? Does he want to just back off? But he's in the slip. He's going around the outside. Little bit of contact and a little bit of space means Cal does think better and backs off for now. So Callum versus Cal versus Seb, the top 3. Cargos Blanc not exactly gaining as much. But where does Morgan end up? It's P10. 3 seconds behind Logan. Warren, another penalty. We've got a yellow. And it's Warren. He must have gone for a spin or something. Callum, that'll allow him to maybe see a car for the first time in a while. Yeah, the top 3 in DRS of one another. Cargos Blanc 2 behind. This allows Tom to get up into the top 5 now. 2 seconds ahead of Ridian, 1.5 ahead of Drifting, 2.4 ahead of Luigi, 6.7 ahead of Logan, who's on the freshest hards, up to Seb. Warren, he might be retiring from the Grand Prix as he sped. Don't know yet. Or he might be pitting again, you never know. But now he's been lapped by the top guys. Seb's still keeping ahead of Cal, who's still ahead of Callum, flashing. And if it were to end like this, Callum on 15 points to Logan's 2. That would be 13 gained, the 13 that he lost in Zandvoort, which would bring the gap from 69 points down to 56, which would be a hefty bite into the gap that Logan has over the Haas driver with 8 rounds to go. But Callum wants more than that. He wants the win. He wants to gain 23 points on Logan at the moment. And Hughes Morgan may help Logan actually, help Callum actually if he gains it to the back of the McLaren and drop him down to 10th, who's not going to be happy at all from this race. Right, we've got 8 laps to go then. Just pull up the results from this season so far. As the top 3 pretty separated, but still within one another. Right, Logan, 9 podiums. Morgan, 5. Sven, 4. Seb, 4. Callum, 4. Sin Icon, 3. Josh, 2. So yeah, Warren did pit for the soft compound tyres. Seems like someone's trying to lap him. The Red Bull. Yep, Morgan only 1.6 now behind. Fastest lap, who's that going to go to at the moment? It's Cargo's Blong, 21.5. Morgan. We'll see what he can do in a sec. But yeah, here we go. Focusing back to the front, into turn 1. Seb just holds on to the lead, but goes deep on Cal, who's trying to switch back. Callum watching this unfold. He's got front row tickets. As Cal in the slipstream of the AlphaTauri, who leaves him the room to go to the inside just about enough. They're millimetres apart, and Seb still holds on to the lead. Cal all over the back of the AlphaTauri. Does he dare to the inside, or does he back off? He backs off for now, as Callum watching this unfold, and the gap between him and Cargo's Blong still staying constant. If anything, it's increasing. Drifting ahead of Ridian now. Drifting has been catching Ridian for a while. They're going to go wheel to wheel through the chicane, back round the outside. Goes Ridian, and back ahead is the Ferrari driver to put up the defence. Solid work. As that's Warren trying to get in on the act, trying to unlap himself. Let's put it back to interval. Right, top 3, so close to one another. This is going to go down to the wire. We saw last season in the wet, 2 fighting for the win. That's an awful angle. But yeah, drifting. It's been coming for a while. Same with Luigi. They're all closing in on one another. The fighting is allowing Tom to take home a top 5 finish. If he can gain another second on the car ahead, it could be even P4, which would be absolutely brilliant for the Red Bull driver. And the wheel to wheel are Luigi and Drifting. Who's going to get the DRS? It's going to be Drifting into the final corner. And now try a switch back as Ridian has left them. Luigi blasting all that's remaining of his battery. He does have the DRS. He was close enough to Ridian, but Alex has the slipstream, and he'll go to the inside as Morgan gets ahead of Logan, and to the inside now, Drifting gets ahead of Luigi. Will Luigi fight it back? Yes, he will. Lay on the brakes, round the outside. Alex versus Luigi. Luigi backs off, and fair play to him. Drifting gets the place. Torrid race so far for the McLaren driver of Logan. Down in P10. And yeah, what about Cal then? How are his mediums going to hang on? Because Seb is in the best position at the moment. The youngest hards at the moment. 3 laps more than Cal as Frosty gets ahead of Bluey. Into turn 1. Seems nice and tidy. Warren another penalty. Cargo's Blanc, the closest he's been to these guys now. Oh, Cal! I didn't even realise he's got a 3-second time penalty. So that has put him out of contention for the win if the other 2 around him do not get any. As Vortex, yeah, unfortunately I think he'll just be disqualified because it's his Wi-Fi, and it's very unfortunate. His teammate Morgan, who's going to be on the charge towards the end, is going to try and gain as many positions as he can on maybe Luigi. Drifting. Ridian's probably the highest bet for him. And we'll see what he can do. Luigi then into the pit lane, so he doesn't have to worry about the Red Bull. Is it a 2-stop? How many laps has he been on those? 11. He's going to pit for softs to go to the end. That's allowed Logan another point. He's going to be behind the Eggy, I believe. There's Luigi, there's Eggy. So Luigi can still salvage a point from this, but that's bizarre. 11 laps on the mediums and he's pitted, as Cal has reached 11 laps too. Some went as high as 15, so Cal's really got to just braid this out, as he has more ERS. Callum has done a brilliant job with saving his ERS. He was below 10. Now he's got 50. Cargo's Blong gaining a few tenths here and there. Drifting, who, well, he was gaining on Ridian, had a look, backed off, lost some time, has now caught up to the back of him again. Similar ERS levels. We've got to fight for the win. We've got to fight for 6th. And, yeah, the rest at the moment still quite a bit between one another, but it's all happening at the front, which is great to see. And Drifting will definitely have his chance on Ridian on the straight, but does any of the top 3 have a chance to gain a place? Or does Drifting try now? He's got him into the final corner, which allows Ridian to come back at him with the DRS then. Heading into turn 1 then for the lead of the Grand Prix. Seb breaks deep and goes around the outside as the McLaren, and through with a switchback, losing the rear. Callum tries Callum drops down to third. It's very confusing with these two. Callum, he's ahead of Cal for now. He's in the slip of Seb, who's flashing. And Seb will just hold on to the lead for now, as Ridian back ahead of Alex, just about. And now Cal, with his medium struggling, has lost a position. He tried the switch back on Seb, who went deep into turn one. He went deep, and Callum, even with the understeer, got ahead of the McLaren into P2. So it's Callum versus Seb. One wants to gain on a McLaren in the drivers, one wants to gain on a McLaren in the constructors. Well, they both really want to gain on Logan. We got a yellow, and it's KFC Callum, and it's caused the safety car. And we're going to have a classic end of race safety car with a handful of laps remaining. It will be in on the next lap. Oh, this has really changed the game. Cal is going to be fuming. Cargo's Blong is going to be fuming unless he can serve that penalty. They're all going to pretty much pit onto the softs, and anyone who's under investigation could see their race ruined. Oh, this is going to be mental. What do the leaders do? Seb comes in, Callum comes in, Cal stays out, because that's really all he can do, isn't it? Cargo's Blong. Also, oh, Cargo's Blong! He's sped again! He was going to come in, serve his penalty, be with them lot on equal terms, but he's sped again, so he's going to serve one, but he's going to have another. Tom has stayed out too. So Tom, at the moment, is the net race leader. Morgan stayed out because he doesn't actually have to pit, because he already pitted. There's Seb, there's Callum, there's Cargo's Blong with a 5-second drifting. Will pit, so Ridian. This brings Logan back into play a little bit. Remember, the safety car will be in on this lap. So how many can catch? There's the leader who's caught the safety car. And if this were real life, it would probably end under the safety car, but it's the game. It will always allow 2 laps of racing. So who's going to catch? Logan is down into turn 1. Is he going to catch them? Will Cal try and help his team by backing them up as much as he can? Bluey, unfortunately, he's got a penalty. We don't really need to check tyres. Most of them are on softs. Bluey stays out on his 13-lap old hards with a 3-second. Eggy will gain the place. Not all of them are going to catch, I don't think. Bluey and Eggy, I don't think, are. The top 10 might, as the safety car is in this lap. No way is Logan catching or drifting, or Ridian, or Louis. It's going to be close. If Callum consciously decides to back them up enough, then the top 10 might just about catch, but it's going to be close. We have a 3-second for the leader. Second is on old hards. Morgan has just been brought back into this. Seb is on the first set of softs. There in the background, you can see Logan, Ridian, and drifting, and we're going to get this restart and this race underway. A 2-lap sprint shootout to the flag. And it's Callum who's going to lead them away. Logan has just joined this fight. And it's 10 cars to fight for the Grand Prix win. Into turn 1 then, as Warren is also another car being lapped. It's Callum then from Tom versus Morgan, who's not that too far behind. He may have had an illegal overtake. Down the inside goes Seb. He's been brilliant on the brakes, and he's back up in a third ahead of Morgan, and they've all managed to make it single file through as we're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Tom then holds the win in his hands in his 3rd Grand Prix, but Seb will have something to say about that. Morgan, then Callum, then Cargo's Blong. Now Morgan's under pressure from Callum, who has to stay behind for now. James hits the back of Callum a little bit as Warren is making sure he unlaps himself. That's going to cause some bother. James into the gravel a little bit there. Ridian versus Luigi into Lesmo 1. Round the outside, this time they keep wheel to wheel. Logan watching this unfold. Warren being a bit of a bother here. That's allowed Callum to be ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Already flashing. Yeah, how much battery did they save? They're definitely not all at 100%. Callum trying his best. We'll put it to leader at the moment as Ridian versus Luigi. Cargo's Blong dropping down the order, holding up Logan down the inside. Logan gets spun. He couldn't see the car, and that's dropped him down to 10. Tom still sticking with. How much can Seb gain on the Red Bull softs versus old hards? Already flashing Seb. Now hits the back of Tom, and it's all gone wrong for the AlphaTauri. He was brilliant on the brakes, but he went too far, and he spun Tom round from a brilliant result. So now Cal has a penalty. Seb may be getting a penalty. Callum could be on for the win. We start the last lap of the Italian Grand Prix drifting. Gets out of Cargo's Blong. And heading into turn 1, Cal versus Seb versus Callum. Morgan. Luigi up in a fifth, battling away with Ridian, who's trying to get back up into a potential top 5. Action everywhere you look. Cal has still managed to hold on to the lead at the moment, so it's the McLaren from the AlphaTauri from the Haas from the Alpines. Pretty separated, actually. Luigi is ahead of Ridian, drifting up to 7th. And at the moment, Cal would drop down to... It's going to be close with him and Ridian. Carlos Mon, that 5 sec, will drop him behind Logan, who might get P8 and have to pens maybe a few more places. But it's so unfortunate for Tom, who was on for a potential podium. It's going to be another P10 at the moment, maybe P9, due to penalties and maybe higher. Here comes Callum versus Seb. Both on 3%. They've got absolutely nothing left. What can Callum do? Does he dare try ahead? As we head on to the final corner then, here comes Seb in the slipstream of Callum. Here comes Callum on the pair of them. Is it a double overtake for the Haas driver? He's onto the grass. He wants the Grand Prix victory. Is he ahead, Callum? 3 wide into the last corner, round the outside. They both go deep. Callum goes off. Seb into the lead. And where's Callum? He's dropped down, but it may still be the Grand Prix win. Here comes Luigi. Slight contact with Morgan. Here we go then. It's Seb from Callum, from Luigi, Morgan, Ridian, drifting, Cal, Logan P8. Tom, where does he finish? Is it a potential P9 or is it 10th again? Logan fastest lap, Tom P10. Seb wins, but he spun Tom, so I think that is Callum who has won the Grand Prix. Luigi has come back to finish on the podium. Morgan may get a podium, Ridian may get P4. What a chaotic finish to the Grand Prix. So Logan and Callum just talking about turn 1 on the opening lap. Seems like they're fine with it, so that's good to see. Logan did get the fastest lap. He maximised in that aspect. Anyway, what a fastest lap that was. Half a second ahead of Eggy. What a race, and I'm sure that order will change quite a bit. If Seb gets a 5 set, that puts him a 10th ahead of Logan. So we'll put him down in 7th. Cal, devastated with the safety car. I mean, he wasn't going to win because he had the 3 second, unfortunately. But yeah, what a mad race that was. I don't even know who to interview, really. Seb, Callum, Luigi. I can't interview Callum. Yeah, that's the thing. If a non-Xbox person wins the championship, how am I supposed to interview them? Oh well. Come to that when we come to it. I'll invite Seb and Luigi then. Right, we have the two joining. Hello? Yep. Yeah, both here. Just give me a second. Right. Let me just head to the showroom. We have provisionally first and third joining the party for interviews. Second, unfortunately, Callum's not on Xbox. But anyway, we will start with the provisional winner, the AlphaTauri driver of Seb. Seb, just take us through that quali and race, and we'll pick out stuff. Yep. After the chaos of turn one, you were fighting for the win. Which one? Oh, the last lap. Mm. As for the last lap, it was pretty hard to see with it being 3 wide. As for the Tom one, yeah, that is unfortunate, and it might be a pen. Yeah, exactly. But it is always, yeah, yeah. It's always the driver behind who's got to just react, really, unless they just can't react in time. But as for now, yeah, yeah, we got we got both POVs. That's good then. So for now, you have won some solid points on the board. Yeah. Mm. All right, we'll have a look at that after the race then. But for now, good drive. Where'd you qualify? Third, fourth, fifth, fourth. So solid qualifying from you. Good fighting with Cal throughout most of the race. You stayed out a bit longer. Oh, Q. um, what was it? Yeah. Any comment on McLaren? Because obviously the three set messed up Cal and Logan didn't have the greatest race for the constructors wise, anyway. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll just have to have a look at it. But anyway, well done today. Next week is Singapore. How are you going to fare around there? Oh, okay then. We'll look forward to seeing you then in 7 days' time. Anyway, Luigi, are you here, mate? Wow, what a race for you. Everywhere really. Up, down, up. Anyway, just take us through your race. You qualified third, I believe. Yep, brilliant qualifying. Anyway, just take us through your race. Indeed, you were running about ninth-ish, and then you were making your way up, fighting a few people. And then right at the end, you were just right with the guys to finish third in the end. And the only incident you were involved in is when Cadwell spun you, right? Or was there any others? Fair enough. So if Seb does get a penalty, that's a potential P2. What's your best result so far in the league? Is it P4 or third? P4. So this is your first ever EXFL Tier 2 podium then. Nonetheless, I think. Anyway, congratulations, brilliant race. You deserve that after some brilliant qualifying efforts. You've been a bit unlucky in the races. I remember Vegas was one of them last season, and it took you long enough to get a podium. You very much deserve it. So hopefully in the last 8 races or so, you continue this strong form, and maybe you'll be fighting for wins. You never know. Anyway, that has been the EXFL Tier 2 Season 8 Italian Grand Prix. Well done to everyone who did well, and lucky for those who didn't. But that's probably only the first half, as we're heading to Singapore next week, so that should be absolute chaos. But yeah, brilliant race, brilliant quali, brilliant to see everyone fighting one another cleanly, fairly, borderline aggressively. But yeah, we'll see you next time in Singapore.